So today's topic gonna be we will go over the concepts in JavaScript, important concepts in JavaScript, which are the scoping, hoisting, and I will introduce you the immediately invoked functions, arguments and functions. And second part of the class will cover asynchronous JavaScript and how to work with APIs, how to get data from APIs and show them in the browser, and to kind of solidify our knowledge, we'll be building a project, this lyrics project, and this will be a good introduction to the working with APIs. So let's start with scopes. In JavaScript, there is a concept of scopes also in any programming language. So scopes means defining what variable you have access to. So, and there are two kinds of scope, global scope and local scope. So global scopes, so if a variable is declared outside of all functions, it is it's in global scope. So imagine your code. For example, I just created index.html and just connected this script.js. So there is nothing else in this project. For example, if I create here first name variable and let's say Nursultan, first
Hi,
name.
hi. Yeah. Oh.
Hi, I'm just using your name as an example.
Oh, okay, I got it. But I only joined there now.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Greet student, for example. Well, let's create this function greet student. And let's say this greet student has another variable inside with its last name. And Nursultan's last name is Kasimov, right? So last name Kasimov. And what this function does is just console log I and first name, last name, first name and last name. So if I call this function, greet student, we will see in the console, hi Nursultan Kasimov, right? Everything is working fine. Here, though, we have two different scopes, two variables that are in different scopes. First name is in global scope. Global scope, because this variable, you can access it anywhere. If I create here a function, I can use first name in my function. If I have here if condition, if let's say if true, then console log first name, let's say first name. This is inside if condition, yeah, if condition. So this global scope, it is, you can use it anywhere once you declare it outside of all the functions. Let's say I have here multiple functions, greet student 1 and greet student 2. This first name can be used anywhere within these functions and outside of functions. So because we declare it inside global scope. So that's why it's called global, because everything in these variables accessible globally. Another one is local scope. Local scope is, for example, this last name. Last name, it lives inside this function because we created inside this function. If I, for example, want to console log here last name, what am I going to see here if I try to console log here last name? Undefined, not defined, right? last name is not defined because in this scope, outside this function, we don't have last name. It does not exist. It exists only inside this function. So this is so there is a limitation where you can use this function. So you can use it only inside the where it was created. So I can, as long as I'm inside this function, after I create last name, I can use last name everywhere. So for example, I can use last name also here. So let me remove this one for now. So first name, first name inside, wait, sorry. Why I don't see this last name? Line 21, read student. Okay. Console log, first name, console log, last name. Does anybody know why I don't see this last name? Line 21. Where is it coming from? Read student. Let me remove this one for now. Okay, now we see it. Last name inside if condition. So I see it here too, because we created this last name inside the function. And as long as I'm using it inside the function, inside its own scope, this local scope, it is accessible. But if I try to use it outside, it's not going to be accessible. So global scope, for example, you have outside public park, right? Like a public park outside your house that everybody can use. And for example, this is public park. Or let's say restaurant. Everybody can go and use the restaurant, right? Or everybody can go and use the park. That's a global scope because it's accessible for everybody. So that's your variables that you create outside of all the functions and all this kind of curly braces. So it has to live outside the functions. But let's say in your house, you have local scope. Local scope, something private, right? Something private that only certain people can use. For example, in your house, you have a living room or a kitchen. Not everybody can go to your room, go to your apartment, like a stranger cannot go to your apartment and use your living room or kitchen because that's local scope. It's only accessible to you. Just like that, local scope variables are accessible only to those functions that are where they are created. And are these two terms clear for now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's have a look at the example here. We have, for example, this one. Let's say, let me fix this stuff over here. Const school name. School name. What is this? School name. School name. And I'm gonna use here const location Seattle. And in this case, in this example, which one is local global scope? Which one is local scope? And this question is for Amantur. Hi, Amantur.
Hello. Const log is like local scope, I think.
Why?
Because it's inside the function, so we cannot use outside of this function.
Okay, and which one is global scope?
School name,
School name. And why?
because we can use these const everywhere.
Exactly. So we can use the school name. You can use it everywhere in any function or outside of any function. Yeah. So because it's in global scope. Cool. Thank you so much. And if I run this, what will I see? Actually, we have some hints. So here we'll see CTEC, CTEC Seattle, and here location will be not defined because location was created inside this function, yeah, and we cannot use it outside. It does not exist outside this function. So that's why we'll have reference error. Location is not defined. Okay.
Manier, yeah, is only function keeps the variable as a local scope or something else?
Actually, here in this if condition, it can also create its own scope, because this if condition also has its own scope. For example, const location. Let's say location is equal to Chicago. And if I try to console log this location, if I put here location is, if I put location is, then if I try to use location outside this if condition, I cannot access it as well. I will see another reference error. Last name, let me remove this one for now. Okay, sorry, this one is taking a different variable name, location, this second location, and maybe city. This is a reserved name. Let's put city. If I use city anywhere outside this, its own scope, because this curly braces create also scope. Any curly braces basically create scope. This is called also local scope. Specifically, this is called block scope, because local scope also local scope. It has two scopes. We say one is function scope, another one is block scope. Function scope, anything that's created inside the function, and it's like in this inside the function directly, and anything that's created inside this curly braces in for loop, in if statements, in while loops, those are called block scopes. And they are also will act like a local scope. You cannot access them outside their own scope. So the city variable lives inside this curly braces. That's why you cannot use it outside. Is it the question that you asked?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thank
So block scope can be if conditions, while loops, for loops, etc. Yeah, so they have their own scope too. If you create like curly braces and inside you will create any variable, you should know that you cannot use those variables outside. And this is like a protection of those variables, so that if you want to, you can create another variables outside. They will have their own domain, basically their own scope, and you need to be very careful with that. Okay. So in this example, let's have a look. So we have, I'm going to again change it to const, this one, const data. And okay, if I run this piece of code, what am I going to see?
The same thing, not defined.
Exactly. If I run this, the reference error, data is not defined, right? Because data is inside this function. Okay, very simple examples just to remember. So that's about it about function about scopes. But I would like to, before we move on, there's you remember we talked about differences between var, const, and let. Something to know is that var is a function scope. Is a function scope. What I mean by that. So let's say I create a function add function, and let's say let's say if I'm going to, let's create here const number is equal to 12 if number bigger than 10, then const result actual var result equal to number, so var result equal to bigger than 10. And if I want to console log result here and run this code. Let me remove this for now and this one. If I run this code, we just said that every block scope, anything that was created inside block scope will not be accessible outside. But even though this result, we were able to use it outside its block scope, yeah. The reason is because var does not respect block scopes. So because we created inside if condition, but var goes outside of this if condition. If I remove this and put here const result, this would not be accessible outside its own scope. So here, this is the bug that var introduces. It's in its own like difference between const and let and var. Var gets hoisted and it gets hoisted to the top of the function. So it's same as saying, like, for example, if I create it with var, what happens is that this var gets hoisted here. When you run this code, when you run JavaScript, the browser reads this file and then it will hoist all the vars to the top of the function and then starts executing the rest of it. So then it will put this bigger than 10 next to it. And then that's why we could easily console log this result, because this var goes outside this block scope. Because var is a function scope, and so it does not respect block scopes.
Can I
So
ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you use in real life var?
Can you say again?
Do you use var in your real life? I mean,
No.
work.
No, and with the JavaScript developers, front-end developers, they stopped using var because of this, because of this. It's not really a bug. Maybe it was meant to be like this, but it can introduce bugs into your code. So this can be dangerous. The fact that you create something inside the block, you expect it to be living inside this block scope and not going outside. But then because of var's its own features, it does not respect this block scope, so you can control it outside. So this can be potentially dangerous. That's why const and let were introduced, so that you do not use var anymore in your code. So whenever I work with old, like legacy code, if I see var, I try to always change it to let or const, depending on if this variable is getting changed, reassigned or not. So that's why we don't use var anymore. Thank you. Great question. And let and const, they are block scopes. They are block scoped variables. What it means is that if I create here this result as let, JavaScript will not allow me to use it outside its own scope. They will be like, okay, you created inside this curly braces, you are not allowed to use this variable outside. Like it does not live outside this block scope. Yeah. So that's why we see this error. Result is not defined. Why I'm saying this? Because sometimes as a front-end developer, when you go to applying to a new job, during your interview, you might get this kind of code snippet. For example, var result something. So it gets changed inside this block scope, and then it's getting used outside the block scope. And then they will say like, okay, when we run this code, what will happen? And the thing is that the interviewer, they are trying to test your JavaScript fundamental knowledge, and you need to know that what will happen. You cannot just say that, oh, this result will not be accessible outside, because you can access it outside because of the bugs that var introduces. So that's why, please remember that var is a function scope, and that's why it does not respect block scopes. Okay?
Yes.
Great. So that was one important thing that I wanted to mention about the scopes and var, let, and const keywords. Okay, moving on. Functions, they do not access, they do not have access to each other's scopes. So yeah, as you can see, for example, if I create here greet student and add, for example, if I want to console log here city, yeah, or let's say last name. Last name, I want to console log here. Will I have access to last name? Okay, this question is for Janar.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
So in the first function, greet
Uh-huh.
student, I have this variable, last name,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to use it inside this function, add function. I'm trying to call it here. I'm trying to use it here inside this console log. Will I be able to do it? Use a
Yes.
variable of a different function.
Oh, You wanna just call it from the add function?
I want to use this last name that is living inside this function. Yeah, I
Oh,
created
you
here.
can.
No, I think
Yeah,
I won't be able.
because last name has its own scope. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is living inside this function. This is last name's home base basically, and add is a different home. Yeah, so you cannot go and get something from other people's home. Yeah, that's their private thing. Just like that, you cannot use last name. That's the grid student's property. You cannot use it. That's why you will, if I run this code, I will see, what will I see, Janar?
Undefined.
Let me remove this one. Undefined or not defined?
Not defined.
And what's the difference?
Because
It's
because
not declared.
yeah, the last name is not declared.
Exactly. Undefined versus not defined. Undefined if, for example, let's say I create here on let last name.
If it doesn't have the value, right? Then
Exactly. If I just keep it blank,
Mhm.
then I will see undefined. It means that variable is there, it just doesn't have value. If I don't have it here, if I remove it, if it does not exist, if it wasn't created, then I will see not defined. It's an error, right?
Yeah.
Undefined is not error. It just says that the value is empty, no value. Not defined is a reference error.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
another interview question. So you should remember what's the difference between undefined and not defined.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great
Well,
point.
thank you so much.
My internet connection was poor. I missed it. Could you please repeat?
And the question was, if I want to create, if I have variable that I created in one function, and I want to use it from another function, last name here, yeah, what will happen? And what will happen is that we'll see an error not defined, because last name does not exist in this scope. It is in a different scope, in this grid student scope. That's why we'll see an error not defined. And also we discussed what's the difference between undefined and not defined. Undefined means that the variable is there, it just doesn't have value. Not defined, it means that the variable does not exist. It's a reference error, right?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, and functions do not have access to each other's scope and the other. So another thing that I don't know if you have seen this before, but every function, when you call it, when you create it, you have access to arguments object. So if I take this one and put it here, so add function has a sum variable sum starting from 0. And I'm going to remove it and put it let I is equal to 0, I is less than arguments dot length, arguments at I, we are adding it to sum. Yeah, if I call this function with arguments 1, 3, 2, 5, 7, then what will happen is that this arguments object is array-like object. It's similar to array. It has property length. You can get the elements inside arguments by its index. So it's very much like array. And arguments represents all the arguments that you pass to the function when you call it. So if I run this, what will happen is that I will get the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 5 plus 7. So that means 12, 14, 15. Oh, it's a different one.
Cancel.
At
Cancel.
console. It should work without the console, right? Console.log. Okay, we see now 15. Yes. So arguments, it's basically all the arguments that are passed to this function at the time when you call it. So it's you can get this object anywhere in any function. So it's just readily available. It is very similar to array, but it is not array because we know that arrays, they have their own methods like for each, map, reduce, right? And you cannot use them on arguments, but you can turn this object, arguments object, into an array. For example, I can, if I console log arguments. Oops. So you can see that here we'll have some arguments. Its own type is arguments. It's not an array, right? And if I want to use, for example, arguments dot map const result. Element, let's say element multiplied by 2. So I'm trying to multiply every element inside arguments by 2 and get the result into this result variable here. But what will happen is that an error, map is not a function because arguments, even though it looks like array, it is not an array. It's the object that has type of arguments. If you want to turn it into an array, what you could do is const array from arguments, args equal to, I believe array from should work here, arguments, and let's console log array from args. I'm going to just remove this one for now. So you can see that now this is actually type of this line. I'm going to use this. Let's just put here in front of it identifier. So array from arguments is actually its prototype is array. Yeah, so it means that this is actual array. We can apply all the array methods on it. So if I just remove arguments and put array from arguments, and if I want to apply map or reduce or filter, now we can do it because now it's an actual array. If I console log, very console log result. So now result is 2, 4, 10, 14. Yeah, all the duplicates, the doubles of the original array. So there are multiple ways how you can turn arguments into an actual array. One way is array from, and this will create an array. Other one is, other way is, I believe you can destructure it like this. So if I create like a square brackets, triple 3 dots and arguments. Then this one will also turn our arguments into array. I'm just going to put here arguments 2 and arguments 2. Let's check.
It's different names
Yeah,
and map for array.
what is it?
Did you use map for array too for the second?
Oh, no, just trying to console log arguments 2.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Thank you. So you can see that now array from arguments that we created by destructuring arguments now also created as an array. Yeah, so you can see the prototype is array. So there are multiple ways. You can use array from or square brackets, 3 dots, and put the arguments here. So if you didn't know it about this object, this is another object that's accessible in JavaScript. It's good to have it, good to know about it. And there are also questions about arguments sometimes during interviews. So it's nice knowledge to have. Here we are, probably you know about it. You can pass a function as an by a value. So for example, here, let me put it here. We have function add that takes an argument and returns 10 plus a. And then add me takes a function that where you call this function and pass 5 as an argument. So what will happen is that when you call add me with add function, you take this add will come here. So now this 5 will be 5 is the argument of the add. Yeah. So what it will return is 10 plus a, but a is this argument over here, this parameter 5. So it will return 15. So probably you've seen this, but it's good to refresh. You can pass a function to another function as an argument. Where is it? Yeah. So if we run this, add me constant log. So you can see that it's 15. If I pass here 10, so it will replace a with 10, right? So it will be 10 plus 10. So it will be 20. So the answer will be 20. So you can play around and see how you can add, how you can pass one function to another function. They are like in JavaScript, the functions are first class citizens, so you can pass them as an argument, and they are very, very reusable in that sense. Okay. So for example, when you've seen it probably also in DOM manipulation, when you add like an event listener to any element, DOM element, you apply like a event and call me this function. We can extract it, right, and just call it here. So here also add event listener takes 2 parameters here. One is event name and the other one is function. So that's where we commonly use functions as arguments. Let's take this example. Function turn on machine, and it takes the machine and is on is set to true, and then var computer, let's put const. Const computer is an object that has a class of is on, which is set to key is on, which is set to false in the beginning, and then you turn on function when you call it. You pass computer as a parameter. I'm not sure why this is this is an example, because this is not really another function, it's just an object. But if you put computer is on, by now it would be, the value would be, what would be the value, guys, if I run this code?
False. False.
False. And
Yes.
why?
We place it the computer as parameter for turn on function, which contains an object, which contains key and value. So it's Matryoshka. I think.
Okay. And
I don't know what is on.
is on is a key, right? So
Oh,
what it does is turn on will take computer, right, as an argument, and then set its key is on to true. So if it was false before, after I run
yes,
this
yeah.
function, the computer's is on key now is set to true because of this line.
It was
Okay.
and
Thank you. Have you heard about immediately invoked function expressions? So immediately invoked function expressions, they are just functions that get called, they get called right away. That's what they do. Let's have a look at this one. Window.add counter. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. We have a function that has a parameter of a and b, and it has return a plus b. Okay. Counter is equal to 10. And now window.add. Okay, interesting. Let's see what it does. I think what they want to do is immediately invoke it, I believe. Function. I think something is probably it's a wrong. Something's wrong, I think. I don't know what counter has to do with add. Maybe the next slide will help us to understand. So, oh yeah. What I think what this slide is trying to tell us that we can use this function as immediately invoked function. So what we need to do is we need to wrap this function with a parenthesis and call it right away. So what we'll do is A and B, we can pass here 10 and 20. Let me do this. 10, 20. Let me put here a solid block instead of return. So this function, we don't even need to call it later on because we are already calling it here. It gets immediately invoked. So immediately invoking means that once we create it, we can call it right away. Why we do it in programming, in JavaScript, if you want to calculate something quickly, but you do not want to have lots of variables in global scope, so create multiple variables outside of this function just to pollute the global scope. If you want to avoid that, you can create this function and immediately call it right away so that you get the result, and this A and B, its values, they do not pollute the global scope. So so we don't want to add to the global scope and global object these variables. Then you can just use immediately invoked functions. Okay.
Can we call every function this way?
Yeah, you can, but sometimes, most of the times, like 99% of the function, when you use functions, you want to reuse them because usually you want to use that function somewhere else and another place. In that case, you cannot really turn it into immediately invoked functions. Otherwise, you have to create again and again immediately invoked functions. That can cause a duplicate code. But sometimes, yeah, you can call it right away if you just want to achieve something and you know that you are not going to use that value again.
Okay.
Okay, so Manner, it's just only for one-time use, right? Not
Yeah,
for
yeah.
reuse. Okay.
Exactly.
So it should be only a function declaration, or we can create function expression and to assign it to the variable in this way?
Good
No.
question. I think it should be only the declaration, yes, to be able to,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, hoisting. You already know some things about hoisting, because you cannot really learn scopes without knowing hoisting. Hoisting is a very easy concept in JavaScript. Basically, it means that in the compilation phase, when the JavaScript engine moves all the function declarations, and also variable declarations, so all your variables and functions, to the top of its current context. Where we say those function declarations are hoisted. So you don't have to do anything for your variables to be hoisted. You don't have to run any code because JavaScript does it right away. It's just its concept, the way it works. And in the execution phase, the JavaScript engine just executes the code. What do we mean by that? For example, let's have a function. I'm just going to use the function that maybe we have good examples here. Let's take a look at this function here. We have a function show me, and that prints and hoists an example. Yeah, and the thing is, you can use the show me before you even create it. So you can see that on line 2, I do not have yet the function. I haven't created yet, but I can use it because of hoisting. That JavaScript, it's the concept of JavaScript. So if you go to console, we can see that a hoisting example. This is this printing message, the print message that we pass to the console. Why this happens? Because all the function names, all the functions and variables, they get hoisted, all of them without any exception. For example, if I have here var 12 number equal to 12, and if I put here console.log number, what am I going to see here, guys?
Number 12, right?
Can you say again?
12.
12? Not really. It's
Why?
gonna be undefined because we are assigning the value on line 8. So this is what the statement means. In the compilation phase, when JavaScript reads the document, right, the script.js file, it will move all functions and variables to the top of its current context. So it means that basically here, yeah, to the top. And so var will also will be moved here, var number. But in the execution phase, when it's executing, so when it executes, it will do it by line by line, right? So line by line. When it comes here, only then it will apply its
So we're
values,
moving
right?
all the declarations and the signatures of the function on the top.
Yes.
Okay.
The functions you can basically, if you created your function with as function declaration, you can use it before even creating it. So it's not a very good structured code, of course. It's better to, when you're writing your code, it's better to have the structure of you create the function and then you use it for just good readability. But JavaScript allows you to use the show me function before you even create it, because this function will get hoisted by JavaScript and it will be accessible to you anywhere in the context.
But most
But
of the time you just import it and write in the separate files, right?
yeah, you can import functions. If you're trying to split your files and you have like
Bunch of
reusable
helper
functions.
functions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But let's say color is equal to, let's say red. If I want to use this let on this line, color, this color will also get hoisted, but JavaScript will not allow you to use it before you assign the value. It does not mean that it doesn't get hoisted. It does get hoisted, but it's just JavaScript will not allow you to use it before before you initialize it. So you have to initialize it and then only you can use it. So, but it doesn't mean it doesn't get hoisted. All of them will get hoisted, variables and functions. So that's hoisting. It's just a concept that you need to be aware of. One common question during interviews is explain the concept of hoisting in JavaScript. And the concept of hoisting is all the function declarations and variables, they get hoisted by JavaScript during compilation time to the top of its context. And during execution, they will be hoisted in execution phase. JavaScript engine just executes the code. So why we need to know this? Because JavaScript allows you to use functions that you used as function declarations before you even created them. You can call them, and also var, all the variables that you created with keyword var, you can use them before they were initialized. So that's the hoisting, just the thing that JavaScript does. You don't have to do anything extra to make JavaScript hoisted, or you don't need to write additional code for hoisting to work. It just does, it just happens in the background, whether you want it or not. You just have to know about it. Okay, that's about hoisting. Let's see. Go ahead.
So why then didn't work with var number?
Why it didn't work with var number?
Yeah, because you told that it's hoisting and it's almost so in the start code, yeah, I mean, and then some console log, why we can use it?
You can use it here.
Fine.
You can actually use it here. So if I put here number and number, you can start using the number over here. So number, for example, equal to 15. So if I run console log on this line, number will be 15. It just becomes 12 on line 11. So that's the only thing that you have to know, that here, if I take this line and put here, so this is line 13. At this point, our number becomes 13, but you could also get 15 as well. You could use this number before you even create it. So before you assign to 12, you could use it because of hoisting.
Can you delete the number equal 15?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you just
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Thank
now
you.
it's undefined because it will take the number, variable number, and it will hoist it, but it will hoist it without its value. It's so basically you will hoist, JavaScript only hoists the right side, sorry, left side, but leaves the right side for the execution.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. What will be the value here? And this question is for Judar, for you. Hi, Judar. Can you hear me? Okay. Maybe Ayan. What do you think? What will be the value of X here?
What's the value? I know. Sorry. I just missed tense. Sorry.
It's okay. So the value will be undefined because var will get hoisted and it will bring, JavaScript will bring to the top of its context here like this. So it will take the left side, hoist it, we'll leave it like this. And it means that var was created, var x was created, but just doesn't have value. That's why we see undefined. That's why we see undefined. And then it becomes 10, x becomes 10 on line 5. If I take this and put here, so this is line 5. So on line 5, it becomes 10, yeah. But before it was undefined. Does it make sense, Ayan?
Yes.
But
Thank you.
this is only with var, right?
Yes.
If I put here let, what will happen?
Will be the same, like undefined, yes.
No, we'll see error, not defined.
Not defined.
Oh, actually, it cannot access X before initialization. Yeah, that's what we'll see. Because X, we're trying to use it before we initialized it. So it means that before we created it and assigned the value. So JavaScript will not allow you to do that. So it will still get hoisted like this, but JavaScript will not allow you to use it because it's let and const. You cannot use them before initialization. So if, for example, if I have here const y, free, and if I want to put here y, what will be the value of y?
Value y, it will be it's constant. 10.
What will be?
It will be, I know, it will be 10.
10?
Yes, maybe.
How? Let x is equal to 10, const y is equal to 3. And I'm trying to console log here y.
Sorry, what was question? Like why?
If I try to console log y, yeah, this y
Mm-hmm.
here on line 4, what will happen? Let me remove this one so that you don't get confused like this. What will be the value of this when we run it? What we will see in the console?
The same error.
Exactly. Cannot access y before initialization, right? So y will get hoisted as well because everything gets hoisted, but you cannot access y before initialization. That's the difference between let, const, and var. Var you can access it because it has certain bugs, but let and const will not be accessible before initialization. Okay, just a knowledge check. I know we discussed it before, but it's good to brush the knowledge. Okay. That's it pretty much. That's the basic, like not basic, but main concepts, fundamental concepts of JavaScript. Do you have any questions?
No, Manira.
Okay, cool. So let's do this. It's 8:07. I'm going to set a timer. Let's have a quick break, 10 minutes, and we'll continue after that. So as we know, JavaScript is a single-threaded, synchronous, single-thread language. Single-thread language. What it means is that it will execute the code line by line as you write it. But sometimes we want to process the data that will take some time to be processed. For example, if you want to get a data, some kind of data from server, that will take some time, right? And in order to not to block other code in JavaScript, we can use promises or asynchronous JavaScript to execute those functions that are going to take longer time to be processed. One simple way to imagine it, for example, imagine, let's say you go to the grocery store and there is a line of people in front of the grocery, in front of the cashier. So here's the cashier, and there are different people on the line with their groceries, and they all want to scan they all want their groceries to be scanned by the cashier. And let's say these are all the functions that, for example, JavaScript needs to execute. Let's say one of the you are in the line, but you realize that you forgot your wallet and you cannot process your food, like you cannot scan your food right now, like groceries, and you need to go somewhere else, like to the parking lot, and get your wallet and come back, right? And you tell cashier, hey, sorry, I forgot my wallet. Let me go get it, and I'll be back. The cashier, in order not to stop other customers, in order not to let other customers to wait, the cashier will set aside your groceries, and wait for you, and will process other customers' groceries first. And whenever you are ready, whenever you come back, the cashier will process your groceries later on. So you will go, let's say, here. This is exactly how JavaScript processes functions. Let's say there are multiple functions. They're all being executed line by line, but there is a function that needs to go to the server and fetch some kind of data. Fetch API call. So this function needs to call the server, get the data from the server. Let's say the server returns data. And so the JavaScript, now it's not the cacher, but JavaScript. JavaScript needs to wait for this function to do this. And JavaScript doesn't know when this will happen. So that's why you need to process this function asynchronously. So there is a way to process it asynchronously. JavaScript introduced promises. This is how you can actually get something you can interact with server and process something that's going to take a longer time with JavaScript a lot easier. Why we're explaining this? Because you need to understand that not all the functions are executed the same way in JavaScript. Some of them will be, almost all of them will be like synchronously executed. All the functions that we usually write, like the any function and console logs and all these for loops, they are synchronously executed, means that line by line, JavaScript will process them in order as you write them. But some of them will be asynchronous. Asynchronous means that JavaScript will handle them differently. It will put those functions aside, wait for them to get executed, get the response they want. And whenever the response is there, for example, the API that you need to get from server is ready, whenever it's ready, only then JavaScript will execute them. So we need to understand these differences before we go into fetching the APIs, fetching data from servers. And till now, do you have any questions about this? Any questions?
No.
Okay, all good?
Yes.
Okay. Let me remove this. So we'll be building, we'll be using fetch. This is an API that's available in JavaScript, and I will show you its syntax. So fetch will take an argument. As an argument, it will take an URL, any URL that you give it. So this should be an address of the server where the data is. And then this will, when you run this, you need to follow this .then syntax. So first .then, why you need to do the first .then? When fetch is, when this line of code runs, it will give you a response, but this response will be in JSON format. Because in order to store data from server and to pass data between browser and server, we want some kind of lightweight format. And JSON is JavaScript object notation. It's a special kind of format that is very lightweight and allows you to store the data and transfer data between browser and server. And once you get this data response from the server, you need to convert into, you need to handle the JSON format. So that's why we use response. We get the response, and in this function, we'll convert it to JSON. And then in the next one, since we don't know how long it will take for this data to be, for server to reply, right? And we don't know how long it will take to, like we know how long it takes, but this will all happen asynchronously. That's why we need to follow this .then syntax. And once this is done, this will give us the result in the format that browser can understand. And then we can, for example, show this on the UI. For example, here, I'm going to put show on UI. And this is the structure of fetch, how we can use the fetch. Before, it used to be done with promises and callbacks. We'll cover that next week as well, like more in detail. But for today's project, this is, I think, will be kind of enough. And in future, we will introduce you async await. So it's another syntactical sugar, how to write even this code in a more understandable, like JavaScript friendly way, because not for everybody that this .then is, not everybody likes this format. But today we will use this syntax to get used to it. So,
Here,
yeah, go ahead.
like what fetch itself, what method is it? He's just grabbing some data from server?
Exactly. We are calling the server. This is making an API call. And if there is anything in the server with this address, any data, it will reply to give you the data. You're making kind of the get request. You will get the data and then you can handle the data. Sometimes it might reply with a 404 or 403. Then you will get the error. If you check the console, you will get the error. But this is, yeah, we're just making API call, and this URL, if it's a correct URL, you will get the data that's stored in the server.
So we need to name this fetch somehow to manipulate.
Yeah, you can create like a function where you will make this fetch call. And then
yeah, I just can't imagine how we will use it. How are we gonna? Can we have more than one fetch?
yeah, you can create multiple functions with different fetch, like that will call different URLs. That's why we'll build a project. I will show you how you can use it in a real world kind of project setting. Yeah, I know it's right now it might be a little bit hazy. Yeah, so that's why I want to suggest you to build this project. It's a simple project that will make here multiple fetch calls, API calls, with a real URL that will get us the data from server. In this application, you can put any artist or song name, and once you hit the search button, it will get you the data, and you can handle it so that you can show the data here. We'll build application where we'll show the lyrics and the artist name and song's name. So for example, let me show it here for Lord Huron, and let's hit search. Is it? Oh my God, access to fetch from origin has been blocked by course policy. Oh no. Let me fix something. I think it's failing because I made too many calls already. Okay, I'm going to try to fix this, but let's see.
You need a subscription?
No, it just needs
No?
to, it blocks you sometimes if you like make too many calls. Let me fix it. Just give me a minute. I think. Okay, guys, let's take a 5-minute break. You can take another quick break because I need to find out how to resolve this course issue. The thing, the solution that I used before, it's for some reason it's not working. I need to search for some documentation how to fix it. Yeah, it's the problem with the API. Sometimes when you use open source APIs and they can have some problems sometimes. But yeah, let's take 5 minutes. I'll get back to you. Sorry. Let me pause the recording information where you can search the lyrics by the term that you put here into input. And once you hit search, you will get the data from the server. And if you want to get more data, then you can click the next button or previous button. And if you want to get certain lyric, you can click the lyric. Some of them, they are not accessible, I think. Let me see, console. Yeah, for example, if the lyrics are there, you can open it here and see the lyrics here. Of course, we need to now write all the code so that we can get this kind of UI. So let's start. So we'll be starting from scratch. Please prepare your HTML file and style CSS and script.js. I already connected everything together. In the index HTML, most of the structure will be generated by dynamically by JavaScript, but we'll have the core like the inputs here and all the UI, like the pictures and stuff like that. And we'll be also adding some CSS so that when we load the data, it will be properly aligned on our browser. Okay, if we're ready, let's start. So we have here header that has this h1 tag and the form with this input and the button. So let's place them. So we're going to create a header with h1 lyric and lyric search. This is our application, lyric search, and form. We don't need action because we won't be sending it to the server or anything. We'll just we'll add only ID of form. And inside this form, we have input and a button. So input with type of text and ID of search. And also it will have a placeholder of enter artist or I'm sorry, here, enter artist or song name. So this is our input, and we'll have a button with a text of search. So this is the header, and outside the header, we'll have div that will hold our result. So we can have an ID of result and a class of container so that we can style it later on. Container. Can you make font size a little bigger? Oh, sure. Let me close this one. Is better?
Yes, better. Thank you.
Cool. And we'll have a paragraph. This will be our placeholder when there is nothing in here. So we just want to show something when the user loads the data. So we'll just put here results will be displayed. This is just for ourselves. Will be displayed here. So you can put any kind of data, but this is just a placeholder for us. And also we'll have a div here, another div that will hold these buttons, next and previous buttons. So this is like a pagination. So when you go to any website, you can go to the like next and next, like so that you can or load data 15 at a time or 20 at a time, so that you don't show everything at once, because it can be pretty costly and also not very good user experience. Instead of that, we'll have a pagination. Pagination means showing something like set of data first, and then allowing user to go to the next set of data, seeing and next set of data, or go to the previous pages, and so on. So here we are showing 15 songs with the titles, and then on the next button we can show the next 15 songs. So here I'm going to create a div with ID of more and class of container centered. So and it will be just empty. We will be creating those buttons programmatically, because if there are no songs, if there are only 15 or 10 results, there will be no next or previous buttons. We cannot show any of them. They will be shown only if there are more results ahead. So let's save this and let's open it in new portal. So we have here lyrics, search, and input. Our input is placeholder and search button, and the text here. That's pretty much it. The rest we'll be adding with CSS and JavaScript. So next is CSS. I'm going to put it just side by side so that we can see. We can get the names of the classes and IDs. So for the CSS, let's have all the elements: box size and border box, size and border box. And for body, I'm going to put background color as white, and margin, let's set it to 0, because we'll be showing this cover picture, and we wanted to not have any margins between the browser and the body. Okay, next I wanna just, for all the buttons that we have on the picture on our in our HTML, let's put cursor to pointer. And if button is active, I just want to remove, I just want to make the style, like the size of it, a little bit better, a little bit smaller. So when we click it, so it gets a little bit smaller. So transform. When it's clicked, we want the scale to become 0.95. So just 5% smaller. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay. And for all the input in focus and button in focus, we just want to remove the outline. So outline is the border that appears when we're clicking on it or typing something inside the input. So this black borderline, so we just set it to outline none. I'm going to just go over CSS very quickly, but if you have any questions, just let me know, okay? Because the CSS part should be pretty straightforward. So background image, let's set background image to the URL that I'm gonna send you. Oops. I'm going to send it to the Slack channel. So this is gonna be the URL that was taken from Unsplash. URL. Oops. This is the guitar picture with a hand. And we'll just set the background image background repeat. So some background properties like background repeat, background size, and background position. So background repeat, no repeat, background size to cover, and the background position to center. Background position center. Okay. And we want to have color of white. FFF. And what else we want to do? Let's display everything inside as flex. So we want to have these items in a column and centered also. Display flex, flex direction column. Justify content center. Center and align items center. Okay, so let's give it some padding. Padding of 100 pixels on top and bottom and 0 on the sides. And also, if you compare this and this one, you can see this picture is a little bit darker. We can apply overlay on top of it and make a dark layer between the content of the header and the image in the background. So one way to do it is we can apply to it the relative position relative. And we can put with after. So these are the pseudo elements, the header after. We'll just place pseudo element with CSS. That will be a position absolute. So we usually use this to apply add some kind of element, but right now we're not going to add anything. We're just going to apply kind of background color. So position absolute, since its parent will be the header, and the header has position of relative, and so this after element will be in a relationship to the header itself. So if I put here top 0 and left 0, this element will be right over here. It will start from top to left. So now we can give it some width as 100%, some dimensions, and height 100%. So basically, we're saying take 100% of your parent, fully cover your parent element. And we don't see it because we didn't give any content to it. But if you put background color as, for example, black, you can see that it fully covers the header element. So it's in front of the header element. We don't want it to be black. We want to have RGBA value of, so 0, green will be 0, blue will be 0. So it's basically black color. And the opacity will be 0.4. So it's like a dark shade, transparent shade of black color. Okay. And also, since everything is also covered, all the elements are covered with this background color, we want to bring forward lyric search and this input and this button. To do it, of course, we can control it with z-index, right? So header, all the elements inside the header. So header, all the children. We're going to apply z-index of 1. So now all the elements will be brought forward. on the Z axis. Okay. So now let's style these elements inside. Header H1, yeah, lyric search. This text, I just want to apply margin to the bottom. So margin 0, 0. Let's put 30 pixels. And for the form, what is happening here on this UI is that we have input and the button is placed inside. I will show you how to achieve this effect. To do that, we're going to, let's take this. So form, we can set it as relative, and we will apply to the button, we'll control it with position absolute. So for the form, we're going to use position relative. And let's set its width to 500 pixels and also maximum width of 100% so that nothing goes outside of the form. And for the input, form input, we want to set its, let's remove the border 0, and border radius. So eventually we want it to be like curved like this. So we can apply 50%. And let's make the font size a bit bigger, a little bit bigger, so 16 pixels. And let's apply padding of 15 pixels and 30 pixels. And let's set its width so that it takes the 100% of the form, which is 500 pixels, so 100%. So now we have, oh, wait a second. Interesting shape. 50%. Actually, let's make it, sorry, 50 pixels. Yeah. Now let's place the button inside over here so we can control the buttons position with absolute. So for the form inside the button position absolute, and we want to be a little bit down, so top 2 pixels, and right also 2 pixels. 2 pixels. And also we want to put the background color of blue violet. I think this is good. And border, let's set to 0. Border radius, same as in the input, so 50 pixels. And color will be white, so FFF. Okay, let's see. And let's apply padding. Padding 13 pixels and 30 pixels. And font size 16 pixels. Oops. Okay, the color is a little bit different. It's not perfectly the same color, but it's okay. What else? I think that's it. For the we will be adding these buttons next and previous. So let's also style them. We'll be adding the styles later on with JavaScript, but let's apply those styles right away. So for the buttons, so these buttons, right? We want to apply, yeah, we don't have it here right now in the HTML, but background color. Also, let's make it blue violet. Border 0. Border radius border radius 10 pixels, color white, and padding will be a little bit smaller than the previous button, 4 pixels and 10 pixels. For all the songs that will be displayed here, this UL, we don't have it yet, but we can also apply those. Do you want to get all the CSS done first and then move to JavaScript, or you don't mind applying the JavaScript and then doing the CSS like during the
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't mind about JavaScript.
Whatever you want.
I think it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, let's get it done right now so that we just focus on JavaScript later on. So that we don't go from JavaScript to CSS back and forth. So this elements, these are UL, right? So UL will have a songs class on it. We just remove the list style type and make it none. And we'll remove the padding 0. And this songs will have all the list items inside. We want to display them. So these items inside, so like this will be span and this will be button. We can display them flex and have a justify content space between. Justify content space between, so this element will be moved to the left side and this element will be all the way to the right side. And align items, let's make it center. And so that we can have like a nice margin between them, top and bottom 10 pixels and on the side 0. Okay. And for this container that has the that will hold button together, this next and previous buttons together, let's add some style to it for container style. Currently we can see it because this results will also has the same container class. We can apply it to this one. So I want to add margin, top and bottom 30 pixels and auto on the side. And let's add maximum width of max width of 100% and width of 500 pixels. So it's just nicely centered in the middle. And this container, so inside it will have this H2 titles. We just want it to be a little bit bold, so let's make all the H2s inside the container. Font weight 300. And for the paragraph inside container, text align center. And this centered, for this class, we will add this display flex and we'll just center it. Justify content centered. So we're doing all this groundwork so that we don't have to later on. And centered button that's inside the centered. We can apply margin of 15 pixels so that when the next and previous buttons they are next to each other, they will have some margins. Okay, I think that's it. Now let's move to fun part, the JavaScript. Okay, now question for you guys. For this, apart from API call, apart from getting the data, what kind of elements we need to get from DOM for these functionalities to work from existing elements. Now let me open it here.
Div is ID result,
Mm-hmm.
or we have two divs. I think yes, the first div with ID result.
What else?
What was the question? Two divs. The result and more.
Button,
Mm-hmm.
input with ID search. I mean, input value.
Mm-hmm.
Result also.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to get the input. The input has search ID, so let's get it by that. Document query selector. We want to get it by ID of search. Oops. By ID of search, and you set result, right? So const result is equal to document query selector. The result has ID of result. Yes. Result. And we're going to get, we also need to place our buttons programmatically. So we need to get this more as well. So let's put here more and more. And also we're gonna need to have a form. So you remember last time we also worked with form, and on submit, we added the event. So we'll be doing the same with the form, because form has its own submit event. So we'll be adding some functionality to that. So what do we start with? Where's the functionality happens? What kind of functionality we need?
Get the input value, and then we will add event listener to the button.
Mm-hmm.
Then we will what is that? A fetch or make a search.
Exactly. So we'll be not adding the event to the button itself, but we'll be adding to the form. So it's same as adding it to the button. Actually, it doesn't have any difference. On just the difference is that on button we listen to the click event. On form we listen to submit event. So let's work with that. So on the form we will add event listener. So forms event listener event is submit. So when I click this, search event will happen, of submit event will happen. So on this submit, we want to, first of all, we want to prevent its default behavior, which is submitting the form. So we don't want it to happen. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. So we want to prevent its default behavior. E.prevent default. Prevent default. So this will not submit the form because we don't want to submit it. We're just pretending that we're submitting it. Const. So we want to grab the value of the input, right? So let's grab this. I'm going to call it search term. Search term is equal to. How do we get the input? This input, the words that we put here inside the input. This question is for Janar. Janar, how do we get if I type something here, how do I grab this value? Hi, Janar.
Hi, yes. Was it text value?
Mm-hmm. This input. How do I get it?
It's form dot get text value.
Close, not that, but we can get it from the input, right? And input is this variable
That's
that
the search,
we get, yeah, search.
Mhm.
Search that value, right? Because
Yeah.
the input will have value. Search that value. So this will get our value. And to remove all the empty spaces, for example, by mistake, I might, the user can do this, yeah? So this will, so that we don't accidentally, the input, user does not put like empty spaces, we can trim this value. So in JavaScript, there is a trim method that will remove empty spaces. How do I check that this is not empty? I want to show an alert if it's empty. And this question is for Kai.
Yeah, we need to put if statement
Okay.
for search term.
Mm-hmm.
So we're checking is equal or not equal. So negate
It's empty.
equal. Exclamation mark and
I want to
so
show
we are checking not right.
if it's empty, I want to show alert. Alert. So here,
Okay, it's empty. Then yeah, alert. Alert
I want
and
to show
message
this.
inside.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yep, sure.
So, oh, yeah, it needs to be inside the string. So if it's empty, if accidentally the user hits the button without any search term, then we want to show alert. Yeah. So, and otherwise, else we want to get the songs from API. So otherwise, we will do search songs. Search songs will take this the input value and we'll search for songs. Let's run this. Let's try to. So if you see that now it works without any input value. If I don't put anything, we'll get an alert. Otherwise, we'll search some kind of songs. Let's create this function, search songs. Search by song or artist name. So this function will get a term, like a searching term, and will search song. So let's say search song. Let's see if it's working. Search song. So if I put here Lord Huron and then search, I want to see in the console log, in our console, search song. Okay, so this function will run if the input is not empty. Cool. Let's now try to get the songs by the term. And for that, I will send you the documentation for this API. The API we're going to use is called Lyrics OVH. Documentation. I will send you to the Slack channel. So this API, you can search lyrics of a song. So you can search by artist name. So this is the, you can see that the get URL that you can use. So it needs to have HTTPS API lyrics OVH V1, you can search by artist and title, yeah, artist and title. Also, I believe you can search introduction. Lyrics of a song. Okay. Reference. Inspector. I believe there was like a console. What was that? The first try. So you can use here, make like a call in here if you want to, like to see what kind of data it will give you. So you can see that it will give you lyrics. There is also, we'll be using this API and one more API where you can add the search term. Basically any term. So first, let's get the APIs. Suggest, where is this? Suggest lyrics of a song. API blueprint. Okay, let's get this this part. So HTTPS API lyrics.ovh. So we'll be using it as a core URL. I'm going to put this after the elements that we got here. So after the form, so this will be API URL. And we can put it inside this quotes. So this is the URL that we'll be using. If you want to use any kind of any what's the name? If you so let me put it here. Okay. So if I type here just few letters, for example, AB, I want to get any artist name or any song name that has this value. So to get this from the API, we will have they used to have before a different, like one more API, but I think we still can't access it. So if we can build our own URL here in the search songs, const search URL. So we'll be using this API URL as a base URL, and let's put it in a template string. We'll construct our own URL here. So / suggest. So this will get us any song title and artist that has this this term that user inputs. Suggest term. So this one will be with $ term, and we can close the quotes here. So this is the URL that we'll be sending to the server. And as you remember, we can use the fetch API. So fetch expects a URL, a parameter URL, so we can input this search URL. And once this will this line of code, once it gets the response, we need to handle a response. So to handle it, we'll put .then, and it will get us the JSON response. Yeah, so we want to process this JSON response to something that our browser can understand. And after that, we'll get the result. Once this JSON is handled, we'll get the result. And for now, let's just console log the result. Console.log. Oops. Console.log result. If I put here Lord Huron, quick search, you will see that you will get an array. This result is an array. It's actually an object that has a key of data, and also it has key of next and total. What it means is that right now you have 15 songs that you can show on the UI, and also you have here next. So this next contains the next 15 songs that you can show on UI. So that's why since there is a next next keyword, we can show the next button as well so that we can paginate. And we can see here total, there are 234 songs with this search term that we put here. Okay, so now let's try to show this data on the UI. So we have the result.
Yeah, Maria, is yeah, I don't understand what inside of response right here.
I can show you. So response is JSON format data. It's just the data that server sends you, but browser cannot interpret it because it's a JSON formatted. Console log response. So if I put here Lord Huron, search. So you can see the score. You can see that here it has some body used, headers, okay, redirect, stay, status, and so on. So we cannot use this data right now to show it on the UI. So that's why we need to interpret as JSON and then use the result after that. This is just the response that server sends you, that status okay, for example, like 200 means that the response was the get call that we made just now, the call that we made just now to the server was successful and you got the data. But now we need to interpret it so that JSON, so that our browser can understand it.
Okay, and what in the result? I just, yeah, you put it in search URL, this URL and our input value.
Mhm.
Did you compare
Compare what?
the URL and input value to find what we need? You didn't compare, but you can find the exact
Yeah,
result.
the API, this is the,
How did-
yeah, this is the from documentation from API. API expects that we will send it some term, and if it has any data that contains this term, it will give you that data. Otherwise, it will not give you anything. So Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. So have you so API means application programming interface, I believe. So this is an API is an interface that other developers built, and it contains some kind of data. So there are lots of APIs out there. We're just using one of the APIs. Some developer will build it and it works certain way. So for example, here, this developer who wrote this API, they are telling us like how this API should be used. If you put anything differently, it will not work. For example, instead of suggest, if I put just remove E, you will see that we'll get a different response. So you can see that 404 not found. It does not exist. So it has to go in a certain way, the way that it was documented in this documentation.
I thought it's just random words. Okay.
Yeah, not just random words. Yeah, the term can be random words though. I can put here, for example, ABC, ABCD. Let's see what happens if I just put here ABCD. If I search, oh. So right now, it doesn't matter what kind of term it takes, it will always pass ABCD. Search.
I think we don't have the artists with this. Which have
No,
this.
we can just get the result here. Yeah, let me just get the result after doing the JSON formatting. Console.log result. So we did get, oh, ABCD. There is actually a title called ABCD. ABCD and so on, like Harley Davidson. Okay, interesting. I actually thought that there would be nothing with ABCD term in it, but apparently there are a lot of songs. There are 300 songs that have ABCD in a title. Cool.
Title, is it the name of song, artist? What is it? What the title is?
It's a song, I believe. Title is a song. Let's
And
see.
doesn't matter what you typed in input, right? Lord Heron doesn't work. He's looking for ABCD.
Yes, exactly. Because we are overriding here. If
Mm-hmm.
I put here term, it will look for Lord Heron.
Okay, so this is clear. And the response, you get the right format with JSON.
Mm-hmm.
And the result has
the result of this, after we formatted it right way, we got this result. This is something that our browser can understand, and we can interpret it as well. We can use it to build our structure.
Yeah, a lot of things happens like in the back.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, it's a little bit more clear. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So now we can use this result to show our data. But to show our data, I'm not going to do it in line here. Let's actually create another function to show the data. So function, oops, show data. And we want to pass the result into the show data. As you remember, the result has, let me console log here. So this result contains, is an object that has data and next and total. We want to grab the data and show it on the UI. So let's do that. First of all, you are familiar with for each, right? Can we use for each?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So result has a key of data, and this is an array, right? So on this array, we can use for each. For each. So this one has a song. So let me just show it here on the side. So basically, we are getting each array item. So each item has this much data. So album, artist has a name. So for example, Lord Huron is the name that we searched by. And also we are interested in a title, so the name of the song. So we want to get those that data and show it in li. For each song, so I'm going to build here the output string. Let output. This will be we can build here output string, like bunch of li's string together. So output plus equal So I want to place it inside a line. So let's create our list element. So for list element, we want to have the name of the artist first. Let me put here maybe AB.
It's
Thing
out.
got broken again. Okay. For example, the list will have the name of the artist. So we're going to create here a span and wrap this the name of the strong so it has a gets highlighted with bold title. And we want to place here the name of this artist. So $, curly braces. From song, we want to get the artist name. How do we access the artist name, guys?
Song.name song.artist.name.
Exactly. Song.artist dot name. So you can see it here. So each song has an artist key, and artist key has name. So we are getting this Lord Huron. Also, we want to get the title. So let me close first the strong, and then we want to close the span. So after closing this, over here, we'll put a dash, and we want to get the name of the song. Where is the name of the song, guys? How to get it?
It's
Title.
title. The night we made
Yeah.
that one.
Exactly, song.title, right?
Mhm.
So $, song.title. Okay. After that, after the span, we also want to put a button. Button. It will have a text of get lyrics. Get lyrics. And you remember we put class name of BTN, so we can add it here actually. So class, it will have class of BTN. And have you used before data attributes?
I think so, but I don't remember.
So do you remember the purpose of data attributes? So data attributes, you can add any kind of information. So the first data will be, you always use first word data. It's always constant. That's how you create data attributes. But after dash, you can customize it. So it can be data title, data color, data ID, or something like you can customize this attribute as you want. And this is exactly the purpose of it. You can add some additional information to your elements. Why do we want to add additional information? So when we click the certain button, like get lyrics button, we want to show each lyric, right? We want to show the title, we want to show the words of the song. And that's another API call where we need to get the title, where we need to get the artist name. So to have access to that data on the button click, we want to add those information to this button. So we'll add data artist name. So artist is equal to, we'll get this information. And also we want to add, I think this should be inside the quotes. Also, we want to add data title.
It
So
means that when we press the button, we will see the name of artist and then title of song.
we want to get
How it works.
want to make another API call like this, yeah. So with the artist name and title of the song, so that we can get each song on button click. But this button does not have this information, right? Because it's a separate button. It has its name, like the text inside, and the class name. So we are adding more information to this button so that when we click it, we can have this information so that we can make another API call to get these lyrics, this kind of lyrics.
Oh, the specific one, yeah.
Yeah,
This-
specific one, exactly.
That-
Exactly. So now we have the list of LIs string together in the output. So now we can show this output inside the UL. Bum, bum, bum. So we will show it inside result, right? So result dot inner HTML dot inner HTML is equal to we are going to create UL. UL. And inside this UL, we want to put let's add here class name of songs. And we need to show here the output. This list of LIs. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see, maybe something. Artist name. I think this should be it. For now, let's see what we'll see in the. Let's get the information here actually. Let's put Lord Huron search. Okay, we see the result in here, but how do you see result in HTML? Why we're not seeing here? Result, output. I think we have a bug maybe here. Result in HTML. For each, we're getting every song, getting the output. LI. We did not close the LI here. Okay, that's the thing. Let me put so that we can see actual structure. So we have span, strong, we are closing the strong, we're closing span here. Then we have in button, class name, BTN, data artist, data title. We're closing the buttons and then get lyrics, and we need to close the line. And then we put inside the result in HTML. I think it looks good, right? Should work, I think, this time. Okay.
Is output should be empty string or something else?
Output by now should have the LI. Why it's not showing? Result data. Maybe let's use different one. Result. Let's put here the data. Maybe it's overriding itself. Data. Okay, yeah. And now this result should be this result, right? Okay. Okay, now we see. Okay, cool. I think it was just because it was same variable name, it was overriding and getting confused. So now we have our titles, artist name, the title, and the lyrics button, get lyrics button. So now what we can do is now we need to also place the buttons, right? Next and previous buttons. Do you have any questions about how we did this part, guys? Everything clear?
Yes, but I see my response, but the last one, there is no button. I don't know why. But other songs has the button, get lyrics, but the last one, there is no button.
Which one?
The last one. I mean, I did the same thing, but
Mhm.
the last button, last song has, yeah, there is no button. Get lyrics.
So
Thank you.
all the songs have buttons, but
Yeah.
the one doesn't have button.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because we are creating it. If there is list
Yes,
item,
yeah.
there should be button, right?
Yeah. Okay, I will check one more time. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe check how you're opening and closing buttons. But if it worked one time, it should work all other times, I think, because it's just you're just doing the loop, right? Yeah, interesting. So now we want to add next button. So next button or previous button, we will add programmatically, as I said before. And it's going to depend on, we're going to add it with if condition. So if this data has next or previous keys. So for example, if after this one, there will be more songs. Yeah. So if it has next or previous keys, then we can show the buttons. Okay, let's do that. Here I am going to create if condition. So if data dot prev or data dot next. So the data that we got, if it has next or previous keys, only then we will show in this more container, we'll show the buttons themselves. So the more dot inner HTML. So here, so just bear with me. If you have any question about this part, it can be a little bit complicated. So we're going to add the more these buttons only if this previous key exists or next key exists, right? So if previous key exists, so here I'm going to add data dot prev. If this exists, question mark, do you remember the ternary operator? So actually here. If data prev exists, then we're going to add button with a class of, oops. We're going to add button with a class of btn. This should be also with quotes. And on click, we want to get more songs. So we will add this function. When this button will be clicked, we'll run this function. We'll call this function get more songs. And we will create this function in a bit. Get more songs with this URL. this next key has the URL of that we need to call next to get another set of 15 songs. So get more songs will take the URL, and the URL is the value of the key. So actually data.prev, its value is the URL that we want to send. So here, $, and it should be its own quotes. Data.prev. After we call this, let's close it here. Should have another quotes. This is the previous button. Okay, so if the data.prev exists, then we will create a button that has a class name of btn, and on click of this button, we will call this function get more songs with a URL of data.prev, and this button has the inner text of previous, right? And then here we're just closing the button. Otherwise, if this data.prev does not exist in data, then we'll just set to empty string. So more inner HTML will be set to empty string. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this. We're going to do the same for next button. So if next button exists, next key exists, then we will create a button that will have a class of btn, and on click we want to get more songs, but this time with data.next, and the text will put next, otherwise nothing.
You please send this part of code, so this small one.
Which one?
Yeah, this one. Oh, what you wrote?
This?
Yeah.
I can send all the code here to you guys.
I'm typing now. That's why.
You want to test too?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Here. Okay. If none of them exist, then we want to set more.innerHTML to inner HTML to just empty string. So it's the case when we search for a term, but there were only 10 songs and we cannot show next and previous buttons, right? So then we just don't show any buttons. So let's have a check. So this is a little bit here I might need to button class of btn. Okay, on click we are getting more songs. Let me just put it like this on one line. Button of class of btn, we're getting on click get more songs. Here I'm just going to alternate between single quote and double quotes so that we can see clearly. So here we are closing the quotes for this one, and here we are closing the quotes for this one. Okay, and then previous button, closing the button tag, and otherwise we are setting to empty string. And I will do the same here. Next btn. Okay, let's try this. I hope we didn't break the API yet. So search. Nice, we get the next button on next call. We don't have this get more songs yet. So let's build this get more songs function. So get more songs, all it does is just same as search songs. It will call the API. Let me put it here. Get previous and next songs. Function, get more songs. This will take a URL. And we want to, I'm just going to take this part, fetch is exactly the same thing, yeah? Let me just write it from scratch. So we want to call the fetch with the URL. After the fetch call is done, we want to get the response. We get the response, oops, but then we get the response, process the JSON format. And after that, we get the data that we want, results. And for this result, we want to show the data again. Actually, we have the show data here. We'll just call this with the result. Okay, let's try it again. Search, next button. So if I click this next, okay, it's not working. Let's see what's wrong. Console result. Bum, 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 bum. Get more songs. On click, get more songs. Do you see the bug, guys? Let's console.log. I think this next button is not working. So on next button,
I think you before when you on click for name of function, I used the same thing like $sign and for name of function. $sign is
for
And-
get more songs, this one?
yeah,
Ah, okay.
I don't know.
I think it should work without $sign. Yeah.
Did you call this function?
Yeah, we should call it on click. So you see this the next button appeared here. So on click, this get more songs should work. Get more songs, but
We change result for the data for the first function because it was conflicting. Can it be the same here?
data for okay. I think here it shouldn't have a conflict because this result is in this .then, so we just call the show data with the result, right? And then here doesn't want to make the call. It's not making the call at all. Let's see. We have the button. I think it's something in here that's causing the bug. So we have the button on click, get more songs. And we want to pass data.next. This is the data.
I think you didn't-
Manya, do we need to put it inside the backtick, that data next?
Yeah, we are trying to put it inside this. So we are putting it programmatically. If data
Okay.
equals
Okay.
this,
That's
then we want
everything
to put
in
this. Yeah.
before. Okay.
Manya, I really had the same problem. I don't know. This on click, this doesn't call the function. I don't know why. I tried to use window dot name of function, and after that it worked. But this looks like it doesn't call the function.
It should call it though. If we are on click, it will work. We want to call it. We want to like listen to the event click, and if the click occurs, then we want to work it, right? So right now it's not being clicked at all. I think there is just a bug here. Maybe if I don't know if it's data.next. So we have data.next. If it's there, then we want to create this button with a class of btn. On click, we want to get more songs. This should close here. Okay. Then previous, then we close the button. Data.next.
Manir, do we need to take the variables on the quote, or no, inside the get more songs? Inside the parentheses. Yeah, do we need to put it in the quote or no?
Over here?
Oh no, in the data next.
Here? I think we should. Let me see. We have here. Actually, it's not required probably. It is already inside the quote, right? If I remove it here. Previous next. The thing is, this get more songs is not running at all. I'm not sure why. Next. Yeah, this next button is not being clicked at all. Okay, I'm going to send you this code, guys. Try to debug it. It's an interesting task for you all. If I find the bug, I will send you to the chat what was the bug. So as a homework, what you can do is, so after you find the bug, this next button and previous button should work. And then only thing that will remain is get lyrics, each lyrics on this button click. For that to work, you already have the data attributes for the button. So that you have already song name and artist name. I already sent you this documentation. Your task is to read the documentation and use the API here. So you need to construct this URL, just like how we constructed here. You need to construct the URL from the base URL. This is the base URL. And the name of the artist. So you have already artist name in the button itself. And song's title. You already have the title already in the button as well, in data attribute. Just do some research how to combine all this information and how you can make that call. And when you make that call, just show the lyrics on the UI. So that's going to be your task. And how you can do it, how you want to do it is up to you, the styling and etc. But what I would suggest, just simple as just what you can do, you can just update these results with the lyrics. So you don't have to create another container for that. Okay, let me send you this code lyrics project.
So git push it, Manir.
To where?
Is lyrics in same URL? So the lyrics in this data also, right?
Lyrics and the data.
Yeah, we have a lyric.
Mhm.
To get the lyric, we need to just use the keys, or is in a different URL?
You need to construct this URL. This will get you a specific song's lyrics. So here you can put the name of the artist, and here you can put the name of the title that you can get from this button.
Yeah, we got title by keys, right?
From data title.
Yeah, and
Buttons
also
there.
the same way we can get the lyrics, right? Yeah, thank you. I just
So yeah, go ahead.
The lyrics, we have to add the name of artist and then the name of song, yeah? It works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you can in this documentation, you can see that here it has this base code, base URL, that this is the URL, right? And also it has this the name of the singer, artist name, and name of the title. You can just put here and construct this URL and put it inside the fetch call, and you can just use this structure. This will give you the lyrics that you can show it on your UI. Yeah, sounds good. Any questions, guys? Any concerns? Any doubts? Do you think you will be able to do this homework?
yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Manyar. Yeah, it was interesting to learn about this fetch.
Yeah, you will be doing more API calls in the future. You will learn different ways
That's cool.
how to make API calls.
How to connect to backend, right?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Manyar, for covering huge topics for today.
Yeah,
Manyar,
thank you guys for staying. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I have one question. So is this in case fetch returns any errors? So do we need to somehow catch it?
Yes,
on
you
that
can use
stage?
try-catch. Exactly. We will learn that too as well. In the future,
Okay.
you can make like a block of try-catch.
Is it going to be right after then? Fetch then?
You can create like a try-catch block here, like this. Try
Okay. Before
catch,
that,
yeah.
right?
And in try, you can do the fetch call, and catch, you can put the error. But we'll do it in the future classes, don't worry.
Okay, but so it's going to be separate than fetch, right? It's a different kind of function.
We'll be diving more deep into API calls, like how to make proper API calls, what are the different ways to make API calls, what are the like edge cases and handling errors and stuff like that. Yeah, and response codes. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's getting more and more interesting.
Yeah, interesting and challenging.
Yeah.
So
But
cool,
for
yeah.
you guys, big homework will be, can you please try to find the bug? Otherwise, I think I'm gonna stay after this class and I'm going to find the bug too. It's bugging me too.
Yeah, we will try.
Okay,
Our
thank you so
best.
much. Have a good night. Thank you guys.
So did you send code? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
I sent
thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Manyar.
Thank you.